Is this a dream?
No, honey. Remember the first time you were taken away from your parents? This is where we brought you.
No. This isn't real.
Yes, it is. We've brought you back. You've been here ever since you walked through the front door of my house. You're in the future. We had to bring you here, Maya, you and your friends. We need your help.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another week of this phenomenal ass show. If y'all listen to this, you already, on board. And if this is your first time listening, go back, listen to the past episodes, and then listen to the future ones. And we got a lot of shit going on. This is A Light in the Sky, the 4400 review show with me, your co-host, Rain Coleman. And I have with me, like I do every week,
Robert J. That's the most unenthusiastic response. It's Robert J., co-host of A Light in the Sky, 4400 podcast, which some Facebook groups don't want to let us advertise in, right?
Bro,
what is that?
That is racist. That has got to be racism.
Yeah. Well, no. Okay. So, long story. I'm gonna make this long story short. Rain and I are part of a 4400 fan page, on Facebook. And I think it was one of those pages that was set up after the original series went off the air to talk about the series and maybe see if it could come back and all that. So I've been trying to share our recent podcast episodes in there, and I was noticing they weren't going up. So I checked. Finally, I got a notice, and it said you're promoting a podcast, and I was like, it's a podcast about the 4400. It's just and it's just like, it wasn't like I was like, watch my ish. It was just, hey, this is something that we think y'all will appreciate. So
yes,
we'll figure it out. We'll find ways to spread the word about this magnificent podcast we have.
Good Lord. Yeah. And y'all listen and share it too. Hell, hit that share button, copy the link, send it to your grandma. She might not know what's going on, but send it to her anyway. Oh my God. Fam, so we are back. Third season, fourth episode. This is Gone Part 1. I have thoughts, I have feelings, I have emotions. In this episode, Tom and Diana search for someone who's kidnapping young 4400s. Sean is threatened by the Nova Group.
Perfect summation.
I mean, God.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's a lot of shit going on. Listeners, when you are listening to this episode or you're watching 4400 live, syndication, Netflix, whatever, use the hashtag AL4400, AL4400 for A Light in the Sky 4400. What are we thinking, man? Fourth episode is a part 1.
Mm-hmm. It was I enjoyed it. It was definitely better than last week's.
Absolutely.
Or the last episode, because that just seemed like nothing of worth happened. But in this one, it was like major. Now, there was some questionable acting from one person in particular or decision making, but overall, especially with how the episode ended, it was pretty effed up. And I like that they're getting back to, and they did this last week, but they're getting back to, focusing on the 4400 case of the week, but still interweaving this larger story. So I think that this one got back on track with that better than episode 3 did. Yeah,
I agree. Honestly, I feel like we should have went right into this. We shouldn't have had that episode 3. We should have went right. Even if every other arc is a part 1 and 2, I don't care. This felt more exciting than last week. So
it was crazy. But they got they got back on track. So
yeah. I'm grateful for that. That really did It really did fuck me up. I enjoyed this episode. I truly did, even with all the issues I have with it.
Mhm.
Because I feel like shit was happening, like on every
Yeah,
front, every storyline, even the C plot, like shit was going on.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm grateful for some back to normalcy. So yeah, we
Yeah.
um
And
yeah
if
we. Oh, go ahead.
no, what were you about to say, man?
No, just that we open up with some nasty shit. Sean is a trifling motherfucker. He is a trifling, low down fucking dog. That's what he is. I'm sick of him, bruh. Ugh.
so like my title for this scene, and I normally try to title the scene by the people who are
Mm,
involved in it,
hmm.
but I think like I just put up naked time. And this is weird. This is really weird.
Ah.
I just it's just picking up off of the last episode or from the last episode,
Mm,
Sean and Isabel doing romantic after sex talk
hmm.
in the bed, and I don't know why they just went full. Yeah, they just went into it. They just
Yeah,
went straight into it.
yeah.
Like 3 episodes in, like now like 4, but the third episode is where the deed was done.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't like it. When I watched it originally, the series, I don't think I kind of paid it any mind. I think my focus was always on what they were doing with her
Hmm.
in terms of like the overpowering and
Yeah.
not really giving her a set um, role. But looking at this specifically, when it involves Sean, like I like Sean as a character. I've
Hmm.
enjoyed him as a two seasons and seeing
Yeah.
his growth. And he gets his hand slapped a bit in this one, but
Yeah.
later on. But this scene, it ain't the best look, dude.
No.
This ain't the best.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, what were your thoughts about it, man?
It was terrible. It made
Yeah,
absolutely no sense. Like I know that Sean is young, and so he's still going to make mistakes, but this was completely. This was weird. We've
yeah,
and
hmm
especially after, like, to me, it would have made more sense if we were going to do this to have him already have sex, then have him and shit Mahershala um
Richard.
Rich guy. I was going to say William. Where am I at? And
Well,
then have him and have them have that conversation about thank you for taking care of my daughter. She's young.
mhm,
Most people see it like that because to me that would have made more sense. Like and not to give Sean an out, so to speak, but for me it would have been like, okay, I made this mistake. I'm regretting it, and then
mhm,
the guilt sets in. It's like we gave you all the tools to not do
mhm.
this, and now you're just fucking with this damn newly adulted person.
Yep.
It's like this is
hmm
this it to me it doesn't fit. Like I feel like for all the curiosity about sex, why has Isabel not just watched porn? Like there's so many other sets, even exploring her
Yeah.
own body. I mean, we don't need a full masturbation scene, but
Yeah.
like there's so many other ways you could have handled sex
hmm
that it's just like, man, this was not a good look. This was
Yeah,
not a good look.
USA Network wasn't going to take it there. They this is the same
Mm-mm.
network as Monk and
Oh
Psych.
yeah, yeah, you're right.
They no, it never got above PG-13 for this.
Mm-hmm.
But what was the other Suits? The show that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know what show I used to watch, but they used to make fun of Suits all the time. They would just be like, "You gonna watch Suits tonight?" I was just like, "This Suits must be awesome." But the other weird thing about this is that you have this scene where Richard comes in and
Mm-hmm.
he's like it's like a whole like hopefully he won't catch him.
Yeah,
And Richard starts looking, he's taken over the organization that Lily was doing where she would find the sick people and bring them
yeah.
to Sean, and it was her own personal project, and
Mm-hmm.
he's taking it over and he's starting to see some questionable figures, some like large purchases, and
Yeah.
Sean is just like, no, I don't know anything about that. So
Which
it just the scene just felt so skeevy. And to be
yes.
honest with you, man, I'm wondering if this was immediately after the events of episode 3, because if you think about it, would Richard have come back from Lily. I don't know. I wonder if this was a multiple time type of thing, but it might have just been once. It might have just been the one time, because the timing of him coming up, and deciding to kind of take this whole thing on, we hadn't spoken about that before, but maybe it was just something that happened off camera. So, but this I might just keep it at this as the first time, but either way, it's bad because he doesn't seem regretful. He doesn't seem like he's just like, they're just like doing this so like innocent talk, and she seems fully aware in her like mental capacity as a not an adult, but compared to where we see her in later in the episode, it's this weird back and forth thing that they're doing with her. So after that, we have the I don't even know if we hit the credits yet, but Alana and Tom are going to the 4400 barbecue. And I know it's called something else, but it's just like a get together for the
it's kind of
members.
Like an open house. Yeah,
like an open house. Everybody chilling on like the I swear the sun never comes out in Vancouver.
I mean, it's like, bro,
every other scene is just rain. Like even on a nice day where this is supposed to be having a barbecue, it looks like they were just like, can this motherfucker stop raining up here? It's just so they go to the barbecue, everybody's there. Tom, Alana is like, thank you for coming because I know it's difficult for you to, deal with this, and Tom is like, hey, I'm here for you. And then they talk to this one guy named Ray Farrell, an abductee that was brought back in 1982, and he's like getting all up in Tom's face and shit, saying, I don't understand how Alana can stay with you because you're an NTAC officer.
I would have beat his ass.
Exactly. I don't give a fuck who you are. You don't come to me at the barbecue and start talking shit to me. Especially like I would have been like, what's your abilities? And then punch him in the face. But he said you did almost kill us all. Because Tom is like defending himself and then he just walks off. So I like that they balanced that out with bringing over Heather from the second season, where she was a teacher who was bringing out the latent abilities, or just signs abilities with talents of these kids. And she is now working at the 4400. So you see everybody's coming to the 4400 center because of the after effects of what happened. And then also she practically got ran out of town, when it came to the episode. So what did you think about having her come back?
I liked it. I really liked, because I liked her episode. I liked her. And she was one of the characters where I did forget about her, but once she popped up on screen, I was like, oh, this makes perfect sense. If you're gonna open your Xavier Institute, like she's a teacher, and with her power, like I don't know if they mentioned, which I doubt they did, that her power only works on like humans, or if it also works on 4400. But either way, if this motherfucker can like boost your 4400 ability, or you're already innate talent, like that's, y'all can like on the military front, y'all the shit, but then like also in the classical art, scientific, all that's like Heather is the key, So I was excited to see her. I don't trust her though.
Unlock but what you say, unlock your chakra or whatever it's called. But the big thing that comes out of this is that she lets slip that Alana has been offered a job at the 4400 Center. And it is one of those things where I kind of wish that, she probably should have said something to Tom before, because with all of the problematic things that we can pull up with Tom, it's like you don't want to, he is kind of coming to this thing, to the barbecue, and he being assaulted by these folks. And he's just kind of being caught unaware. So we cut to Maya and Diana getting ready to go to the barbecue. It's a bunch of, I think they're trying to pack up the car. And this is where I kind of understand where you're coming from with Maya. And remember, she was not in, maybe she was in the first two. She wasn't in the third episode, so this is kind of the first full-on episode that we see with her. Because she's the focus, and she says this whole cryptic thing of you're going to forget me, and in my notes, I say, why not explain it? Oh, let me say, she says a line and she remembers that she left something upstairs. So Diana says, I'm not going to forget you, like, and just go upstairs and get your stuff. Yeah. And when she goes upstairs, she's taking too long, and then Diana comes after her, and then you see her in the apartment, Maya talking to this. I described her as Jim Jones looking,
yes.
Not a cult person, and says that she's Maya's sister, Sarah. So I'll make this very brief because I know you got more to say. I hate that they keep making her the way that they use Maya's abilities is always in kind of in service to the plot and just to drop little clues. And this more so now than ever. But in another scene, we hear that her abilities have developed really well. So that's the thing. So like you can't have it both ways. Bruh. You cannot have it both ways where she is just like, she's like, Isabel actually, she don't give a fuck. She actually uses her abilities whenever she can, whenever she wants. But, I mean, the problem that we have with her is that she can do everything. Maya, compared to what some of the kids in this episode did, she should be there. She should be there. And my thing is like, okay, if you don't want to make her all powerful and all seeing, then you got to introduce a reasonable block to that.
Yep.
Because right now, this shit was killing me. So what were you saying?
No, yeah. And the only thing, if they had just taken that line out when she said, I can control it, like that, take just that line out, and I would have been like, I still would have been pissed, but I'm like, man, come on. Yeah, I don't like that. It feels like even back then, it feels like you have enough continuity to bring Heather back, to bring TK. You have enough thought to pick up on certain storylines that happened in the past that make sense for the current season. So why not take more care with your main characters, like with Maya, with Alana, with Sean, and with Isabel? Like those should be the motherfuckers that we know exactly what they're capable of and what they're doing. If everyone on the outskirts is kind of gray, then sure. But Maya, she's the only like main child protagonist in this show, and she has one of the best powers storytelling wise, but it's like you're pissing me off, man. It's just pissing me off. Like the fact that Diana was like, motherfucker, explain. Like you've been with Diana long enough to know that you can't just say like you could have kept that to yourself. Yeah. Honestly, you could just kept it to yourself.
Well, I mean, but that's par for the course for her. I mean, she's been saying cryptic shit since the first season, and you're thinking about the third season that you're going to get beyond this, especially once again when you've established in the later scenes that she says since she's been off of the inhibitor, she's been able to kind of focus it a bit more, and she shows it. We're gonna talk about that scene, which is weird. Yeah, I mean, which is. I understand that the budget was low for this, but anyways, we'll go to it. But I'm tired of the cryptic speech. Because like this is your mom. Yeah, and you talk to her like your mom. If there's some serious stuff that's going, and albeit in this case, she's she can see the future or whatever, but like as a young woman or as a young girl, she's been riding with you since you came back from the future. Hey, right. So you don't just like, this. I imagine the scene where she's going to get some milk and she turns around and she says, everybody's going to get hurt today. And it's just like, Maya, what the fuck? And then she just walks out of the room. Like, you can't. No,
come back, little girl.
Let's talk about this.
Explain this shit. What pissed me off a lot, just, again, I could take Maya because this is the shit she's been doing. But there's no sense of danger when this new woman pops up and we see how that goes. Yeah.
She was doing some questionable shit when her, because we think that this is her sister, so she makes a lot of stupid decisions, and I'm not just going to play that off on just being a kid, because my mom and my dad taught me about stranger danger. It was just like if they're not family or close friends, you know, then we're not messing with you. So after
You
that,
know that. Oh my god.
I don't know. It was weird. But so after that, we the credits I think run, and then we see Maya, Diana, and Sarah at the house, and Sarah is like talking to Maya about little things that she remembers about her parents. So something that things that seem similar that she would remember, so that they both should remember. The other thing is, I would have clocked her age if
I
Maya.
mean,
Yep, she should have been much older.
yes.
She looked. And I guess I don't know why they didn't go older for the age, but if Maya was abducted late 40s, early 50s, and she was 7 or 8 around then, she would have, math wise, by 2000, she would have been 20, 30, 40, 60 or 70. If I'm doing my math right. This woman.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so like maybe in her 60s or 70s. To me, this woman didn't look like she was. She looked like she was in her hard 40s. Let me say that.
No, you're right.
She didn't look like she was above her 50s. To me,
and I think they tried to play it up with her clothing, but like not her attractiveness aside, this woman did look really hard, but she didn't look as old. Because I was counting, so I was like, first of all, why you retcon this girl to have a little sister, and then secondly, why only 5 years? Like clearly, Maya does have an actual sister.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like whatever.
Maybe because I don't remember there being any mention of her in the first couple seasons.
There wasn't.
Okay, so there you go. For the sake of the story that we're telling right now.
Yeah. But they explained that away when Diana was like, I called looking for you and this and that and never got anywhere. And I'm even okay with that. But it's like, come on. Like, what?
I actually liked how Diana went hard and like into her, because she was just like, I've been hitting you up at every address that I could find for you, and you're traveling around and this and that, and she was being very protective. So once again, we talk about was the family, the joke, with the Fast and the Furious. One of the things that always stands out to me about this is the family aspect when it comes to some of the relationships. So she tells her, you're gonna have to prove yourself, but we're gonna start this off by, with a DNA test, which first really good way to go. So she wasn't like just like, hey, go hang out with her. And the funny thing about this was when Maya and Sarah were talking, Diana kept telling Maya, he's like, can you give us a moment? And Maya wasn't listening because she was just so and caught up with the fact that this might be her, her sister. And Diana had to repeat it again. So you could tell like how they're suggesting Maya was lost in this whole thing. So after that, we have Tom and Alana back at the house, and there were some really cool lines in this. Actually, I kind of picked up or tossed my notes. They're discussing how everybody at the 4400 seemed to be coming at Tom, and he says, and Alana's like, I know you don't like the center, and he's like, I'm fine with the center. They're not fine with me.
Yeah.
And he's just like, because if you think about it, he's been, unless it's like his job, he doesn't really kind of come at the 4400 like that. And then Alana says she they go more into the discussion of her wanting to help people at the center, and she thinks that he's jealous about it, and says, I'll save my best work for you.
Which is, oh Lord, yeah.
But anything to add about that, or we just want to keep
No, this is where I was really rooting for Tom, because I'm like, even if all of y'all hate him, the very fact that his nephew works here and he's in constant contact with his nephew, I don't give a fuck if y'all don't like me. Like, you're not about to beat my ass. And if you have respect for your coworker, Alana, you just avoid her when Tom is there. Like, or you smile and keep it moving. Like I said, I don't know if this is like how people act, but I could hate cops all day long. If my coworker's husband is a cop and we're at a work event, what the fuck I look like? How the fuck, bitch, you a cop? Fuck you. Like, what are you doing? Like, this ain't the time or the place. Like,
A little bit, yeah. It's a little
I
bit too
hate
much.
that.
It's a
No,
little
really.
bit too much,
Really.
right? And the guy that they had coming at Tom in that episode, which I guess like represented apparently all of the 4400s who weren't trying to F with him. He seemed like the soft batch cookies. Like he didn't seem like I think my wife or somebody says that, but like they should have had like the muscle bound dude coming up in Tom's face. Yeah, because Tom would have like easily just clocked that guy upside the head.
Yes.
Yeah, whooped his ass.
Yes.
It would have been like an ass whooping at the 4400 barbecue.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I felt disrespected that he was an abductee from the from the year I was born. So they show Richard at the hospital. So we have a scene of Richard, doing taking on Lily's duties, where he's talking to a room filled with sick children, and he is introducing Sean to for the whole healing activity. So Sean comes up and he tells the people like, please, after you walk out of here, because you will walk out of here today, please let people know about what we did and that it was a 4400 who helped you. And I'm like, it's good PR. And then this guy jumps up and just tosses a can of or a glass of red paint at him and says, Nova knows what you did. Nova knows what you did, you traitor, and this and that. And so Sean is all messed up because the people are coming to call in.
Which this is okay. Let me. Okay, I'm trying to address this, but I have a different issue. Does the Nova Corps expect for Sean not to help humans?
I love that you said.
Confused.
I love that you call them the Nova Corps.
Yeah, because wait, what? That's not their name.
No, I think they just call them the Nova Group. So like, we're such like comic book nerds.
I was so serious too. Like,
but you're cool.
But I don't get. So I'm like, I get if you're saying like, is it traitor because of TK or is it traitor because because he didn't kill, like y'all killed TK,
right?
Or what? I mean, I know he set her up. It feels like this attack is too far removed from the event, where it feels like you're attacking him because he's curing humans of diseases. That's what it feels like. But I could be wrong.
Well, no, I think this just goes back to when he sold out TJ in episode 2. And they threatened him and said, you're gonna pay for this, for what you did. But what I think at least they didn't shoot him. I know, and, he just threw pain on him. And it's just like, we're gonna mess with your mind a bit. But the other part of that though is how counterproductive, or how what's the word? Anyway, that seems foolish to me, because you sent another 4400 in there to murder TJ. So you're mad about you're mad about Sean for selling you out, but you didn't do anything to try to save her. And it was something I thought about, because you remember in a couple episodes back, they found a way to get Gary to get the telepath out. So, but when it comes to TJ, you just fine with just shooting her in the head and saying, "Well, have a good day." So but you're upset at Sean for that. So, anyways, but that's what that was connected to, because they did threaten him, a couple episodes back. So this is cashing in on it.
I'm really pissed though. I wanted to see him heal one of them kids. I'm like, we're already here. Like I don't, maybe because me just as a fan, I want to see his abilities. I want to see you cure these fucking kids. Like that was such a, that was weird. That was weird.
But it's just showing he's not safe. So Tom and Diana back at Intech, they're talking about Sarah, popping back up in Maya's life and questioning if, she's legit. And they mention the DNA test again. And then their boss, and I'm sorry, I'm forever forgetting her name, but she gives them a new case about an a missing 4400 by the name of Lindsay Hammond, and she disappeared in 1979. And I don't know if this is where if they're suggesting or that it's more than just her, but I think she's the first one that they noticed because she hasn't checked in. So nothing really major here. Is just basically letting you know what the investigation is going to be for the episode.
Also, what year was this? Because the first thing came to mind when I saw that girl was Avril Lavigne. I was like, are they trying to play into that look? Because she definitely looks like Avril Lavigne.
I mean, this is 2006.
Yeah, that's about right. That's about right. Yeah, and this and Jarvis is her name. Is the
Jarvis
and the chick, and she just be chilling. I mean, I know she's the boss, but she need to do some work. Goddamn it. So yeah, but yeah, that was a quick missing girls thing.
And then after that, we see. So now that the Nova, it shows that Nova is coming after Sean. Matthew and Richard are like, hey, what's going on, yo? And so Sean has to confess. And now this is where we learn that where he got the money from. He was taking the money from Lily's organization to give to the Nova Group. And when Richard heard that, he lost it, man. He was just like, he was pissed, and I think rightly so.
Yeah.
I can't fault him for getting upset about the fact that his wife's memory might be associated with. He said they killed half a dozen people.
Yeah.
These people killed folks. But what were you? So when they revealed that, like, how did you feel about it?
I was pissed. I was so fucking angry because I feel like you are a grown ass man. I don't give a fuck if you're 19, if you're 21. You took over this position of power. Regardless if you was pushed into it or not, you accepted that. For you to blindly give money to this group, a group for defense, quote unquote, for the 4400, when you got motherfucking Matthew right there. Say what you want about Matthew. This is your point of reference. You ain't talk to nobody. You giving these people money, and then from a foundation that's supposed to, like, you clearly are not built for this. You're not built for this. I was so pissed. I wanted Richard to reach across that table and snatch him up. Because one, I feel like that would have showed we clearly see that Richard is angry, but that would have put some physical action behind his anger, so that ultimately when he ultimately finds out that his daughter and Sean are sleeping together, now it's that, is he gonna whoop his ass or not? Like, I kind of wanted that, but I was pissed too. Like, my wife is dead. She is dead, and this is what you do.
It was he was fucking up
bad,
and I didn't feel bad for him. I didn't because there were plenty of ways that he could have gone about doing that. Like you said, he got his spooky right hand man Matthew, who's willing to do like the shady stuff.
Shit, yes.
The shady stuff. So it was a stupid choice, and they're paying for it. Or he's about to pay for it because they keep coming at him. Or you now have Nova overtly saying, "Hey, we're coming after you." Which the people outside looking in, like, don't the 4400 hang out together or some shit? And so that people are going to start asking questions. So
one thing I do want to point out, though, which I fucking hate, and I feel like this has happened on this show before, when Matthew and Richard responded to that bit of news, Sean was like, "Oh, well, don't you think I know how don't you think I understand how bad this is?" That's not a fucking enough. That's not enough. That's not like, what the fuck is that? Like, I go and rob somebody, and then their family members catch me, and I'm like, don't you think I know that was bad that I robbed them? Nigga, what? You did something terrible. You need to find a way. Like, I hated it because I felt like that felt so unnatural. To me, that came from a place of privilege. I'm going to just say that because I feel like that wasn't a good response to. That wasn't an appropriate response. Like, the actions taken. Like, I feel like him acknowledging that he understands it's wrong was like, enough. No, you got caught. That's why you didn't come to us with this before and be like, ugh, whatever. Fuck
the only reason he's coming to them is because now his life is being threatened in front of sick kids.
There we go.
And for Nova to do that actually in public like that, I think that was smart. You know, it's just like, we're not about to keep doing this like hush hush.
Yeah.
Like you like, people will ask questions, but after they ask those questions, we about to like straight mollywop your ass.
Yeah.
I mean, just like you be scared. Yeah. So they go. The next one is, I think, scene is Maya is hanging out with a friend, and they are interrupted by Sarah, and Maya runs over to her and says that I don't know. She just comes over and picks her up for the day. So they cut over to the intact. They cut over the intact, and Tom runs in and tells Diana, because I can't remember what they're doing. But anyways, Tom comes in and tells Diana, yo, DNA results came back. She ain't her sister. So she Diana calls, the mom, where she's having a play date, or they go over to her house, and then they realize that Maya's gone. The daughter, her friend, basically says she went with her sister. She went with her sister.
How do you not? Okay, I don't know how y'all raising y'all kids, but I don't give a fuck if I'm in the suburbs, if I'm in the hood, if I'm in the fucking farm town. How do you live on the street? I know these kids are like 8, 9. I don't know, 11. I don't know kids' ages, but how is this woman able to walk up and take Maya, and you don't know? And then how did the little girl not tell her mom Maya's gone with her sister? Like, this whole situation seems kind of weird.
Well, with how so you a true crime buff, like you watch those shows, and then you hear the thing about 1 minute that she was there and 1 minute she was gone.
Yeah,
I'm not saying like, I mean, this is definitely. I love that word apparently today. This is very far fetched.
Yeah,
in terms of how Maya is dealing with this, because they totally had her acting stupid this episode, and don't come at me with the excuse of a kid, but sometimes on the other side of that, there are those situations where, if I hate to put it like this, if somebody wants to commit a crime, they're going to do it. They don't give a fuck. Yeah. So they so in her case, she went in, she snatched this kid up, and she just left. But they were in the backyard from what I remember. The kids were playing. Now you or I would have gone in to tell the mom that, hey, I'm leaving. This, so and so came pick me up, and then the mom would have turned around and said, like, no, she ain't. But you ain't. I hate to say this, everybody doesn't operate like that. And it's dumb. And it's unfortunate because sometimes kids get got. But the older I get, the more I understand that everybody doesn't think the way that I think, or the way that our parents thought when we were growing up. Because I hate to say this, if you weren't, we said this before, if you weren't kin to us, or if you weren't, somebody my mom was kicking it with on the weekend, like a friend or something, then you could get away from me. Just coming up to me as a stranger. So that's how it was for us, but it's not like that for everybody. But she was ditzy. So the thing that I love about the scene, though, is like after that, Diana is on 10 the entire episode. She is like, she was. Well, we'll get to like what I think is my favorite scene later on. But she's like, let's go, motherfucker, let's go. And she's an intech running around. She's like everybody's looking for Maya, even that one black dude who's always nodding his head. You gotta know who I'm talking about. Like, I'm gonna send you a screenshot of this dude.
Oh my god!
Like they in the bullpen. We gotta save her. She's one of her own. So Diana. But the other thing is, I do see that even though Diana is at 10 plus, she's still feeling it. Like they show her going throw up because she's worried about what might happen to her. So what was because like this is the first time that we're seeing her go into like kind of mom mode like this.
Yeah, I loved it. This made me feel very bad for the very end of the episode. Like the very last scene, I was like, oh damn.
Yeah.
But no, I love this. I love this, and I
Mm-hmm.
like her and Marco. I don't feel as if they've done a good enough job. Maybe they just haven't had the time. But to pair up her and Marco, like they have done it over this season, but I feel like I want them together, but it doesn't feel like they've done enough alone to be like, oh, they're a couple or whatever. It
No, they haven't
feels.
given. No,
Mhm.
that's they've done horrible to them.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I
Relationship
want them
wise.
together. I
Yeah.
like them. I like
Mm-hmm.
her. I like her being this field. I like their dynamic because it's more so what I think the gender roles will be swapped on any other show where she's the
Mm-hmm.
field agent and he's
Yep.
the guy in the chair versus like I don't know Criminal Minds with like
Yeah.
the thick white girl in the chair and then Shamar Moore's character, kind of that
Yeah.
vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that and I like them together and I like that when she's out in the field and not just this episode. She is though she is a field agent, she is still like analytical. She still be
Yeah.
focused.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I love this. I love this. I love that everybody's like rallying around her too. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is one of our own. And for all the shit that we've dealt with Tom, to finally have a kind of Amber Alert situation with
Mm-hmm.
Maya, that to me felt good. Not that she's abducted, but just seeing how Diana is handling herself in that
Mm-hmm.
same situation.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I really did.
Yeah. Because, like you said, the first two seasons were mainly focused on Tom's family stuff.
Yeah.
It was always, as far as what was happening with Kyle, who we haven't heard from this entire season.
I mean,
So, yeah, I mean, we're only 4 episodes into it, so he
but
might pop
still.
up. But so we cut to Maya and Sarah. Sarah takes her to her house, and she starts. No, actually, no, they're not there yet. So they're walking, and Sarah's asking Maya about her abilities. So in our mind, we're thinking like, oh, she just abducted Maya because she's a superpower person. And then the episode said, nah. Like towards the end, like I will say, like because my memory is just bad. I did not know where this was going.
Okay.
And so I'm still thinking like she's just on some, creepy, child
Exploit
trafficking,
you. Yeah.
exploit, that type of thing. And this is when we learn that she's learning to focus her abilities. And Sarah says, "Can you do that for me? Like, can you show me?" And Maya says, "Stop." And then you see, one kid skateboarding, one kid on a bike, one kid playing basketball and saying extreme sports. And no, he doesn't say, no, I'm just sorry. It's just, it was just like every sport that the kids could be doing, but she stops her from getting run over or hit, running into these kids. And in my mind, I was just like, man, y'all could have done something better. Like, it just seemed very basic because in my mind, like you could have heard them coming up the street, like you do something where I can, as a viewer, say, "Oh shit, you just heard the kids riding a bike. You heard the kids on the skateboard." I know what a skateboard sounds like on the road. I know what a kid riding a bike, and most kids when they ride their bikes and skateboards, they're gonna be loud, so you hear them. So, but it was their quick way of showing that at that moment Maya was able to, hone her abilities. So this is where I was just like, I call BS with these whole cryptic ass statements that she's been doing. So I don't know, like how did
it was trash. This was stupid. This was dumb. All of this was dumb. Again, this is because if that's the case, why has she not been doing this before? And is it a Spidey sense or is it just I want to look at the future now? It's like this does not, because in past seasons, I think even last season, she like knew that Marco and her mom was gonna be together, but that her mom was liking somebody else, and when people was gonna die, all this stuff. I'm like, man, this is fucking stupid. This is dumb, and it really pissed me off because you're not getting any red flags from this woman. And if she says, "Can you do this for me now?" How are you not like? I have to do too many jumping through hoops to ignore the fact that you can't see this woman means you harm. That's the problem for me.
Yeah,
I could jump through all the hoops. I get it's science fiction, but
it's one of those things where there are too many gray areas where her abilities are involved, and we get a sense of even in that we're getting a sense of that in the journal, because I did just remember how they talk about that, and we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
But how can something be fine tuned but not working at the same time? And that's kind of where I am with her.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now it just seemed as if she was dropping breadcrumbs for them to follow to get, to eventually find her, versus her fine tuning her abilities if they are fine tuned, because she seems at the same status as she was in the first two seasons.
I
You
mean,
didn't fine tune shit.
at
That's what I'm
all,
saying. Like,
at all.
unless you just fine tuned it to seek out extreme sports or whatever. Um,
I
that's that's the only thing I saw. But
yeah.
Sarah takes her to her house. It's actually a nice house. She takes her inside, takes Maya inside
Mm-hmm.
upstairs to like this replica of her room. Like it's supposed to be her same room. And I said Maya needs to understand this is creepy as hell. This is
I
not.
mean,
Yeah.
how do you? I know Maya's from a different time, but you've been here in present day for what, 2 years or a year? I don't know how much time has passed, but you've been here long enough, and you have interacted with enough adults. Like just dealing with Diana's sister, who was
Yeah.
trying to get you to get them lottery numbers and shit, and having Diana as a mom. There's no way, like there's no way there shouldn't be red flags or alarms going off for her. Now she's a
Mhm.
child, so she is helpless in that regard. But like you have this supercomputer brain where you know every goddamn thing. You didn't foresee this. You didn't foresee being locked like this. This is why I can't. I they didn't establish like I'm so emotional because it's somebody in my family that my
Mhm.
powers are going haywire or like this. So
Or she's not focusing.
yeah.
I bet you if Sarah had rolled in on some rollerblades, um,
She'd have known. She would have knew.
popping wheelies on a bicycle.
Oh my god.
But so
Sucks.
after, so she's having being in the room around stuff that's familiar with her. Then we cut to the scene where Richard and Matthew are
Mm-hmm.
talking. Matthew basically says that Sean isn't qualified to run the center, and Richard's like, I don't want to, try to go for no, power grab or, like
Mm-hmm.
cool. And Matthew's like, no, it would be power sharing, and he's like, I'm trying to keep this movement alive, and he says,
Mm-hmm.
ask you straight up, like if you had been in that role, would you have
Hey,
financed a terrorist
by
organization
accident.
by accident?
What the fuck,
That's what I'm saying. Like
bro?
some of the lines in this were just like so direct to the point. And
Mm-hmm.
we know that Matthew has an ulterior motive, but in this scene, I couldn't fault him. I could
Yeah.
not fault him for going, because it just, and one of the things that does pop up later on is that there's a board of directors. And I've always wondered like what kind of, because in the cases of like large corporations, and this is coming from somebody who has never been in that position, but there's kind of sometimes there is that power sharing. Like
Yeah.
you don't give the complete control of a company or an organization to one person. You
Yeah.
give them like a percentage, and
Mm-hmm.
then there's a percentage that a board or a group of people have, or
Yep.
maybe another person.
Mm-hmm.
So if Sean, y'all were stupid then to give him complete control as a kid, and I understand he could heal people, but I guess it took him actually funding a terrorist organization for them to be like, okay, now this is our opening to
What?
try to to try to balance this out.
I don't get it. This nigga has had terrible. He has done terrible shit. Not terrible in the sense that he's a bad person, but terrible
Mhm.
like for the sinner. Remember when he
Yeah.
was with that girl who was like homeless and she
Yes.
brought all them problems to this? I'm like, you keep fucking up. This ain't the first time. This is the biggest fuck up, but
Yeah.
like, you're not good at this. Like,
Yeah.
he should be in somebody's like business. Like, he should be in college. There's no,
Yeah.
yeah,
If I
yeah.
mean, like doing that on the side. I mean, taking
Mm-hmm.
courses at night and helping to run the organization, or
Yeah.
just real talk. They could just trot them out to heal people.
Yep.
Like that's that's why I don't think that it's such a bad idea for Richard to step in,
Mm-hmm.
who has an experience as
Yep.
he starts citing. He's like, you were an officer in the military. You're an adult. You know how to schedule your time. To go to Office Depot and pick up a scheduler or a planner.
Yes.
You don't like all those extreme sports like those psychics. Anyways,
get out of here.
That type of shit. But yeah, like.
Yeah.
Sean, who lived under the bridge, like I remember you kept saying, like she lives under a bridge.
Yes, because like what the fuck? What are you?
That type of stuff.
Oh my god, yeah, he sucks. But
yeah, and you could tell. I mean, and love who you love, but even her, there were a lot of things. Like he had this whole savior complex going with that woman, and it's just like you can't save everybody.
Yeah.
Like that's not for you. I mean, that's not to do. So anyway, so that's what comes out of this. So Richard starts thinking about that. Intac, go back to Intac. Marco, Diana, and Tom are studying Maya's journals. And so this is where we get a sense of what Maya has been doing for, I guess, the past, since she's been off the inhibitor.
Yeah.
But you remember there was a thing with Maya's journals in the previous season. So it's just like everything comes back to Maya's journals. Marco mentions that she talks about all of these events or things that are going to happen, but she never has dates for them. So once again, this is not any different than what we were doing in the first couple seasons. Like there's no, I don't know how more obscure you can get with her abilities than this. This is not like the second level. And then the really messed up thing about it though is that she does say when I die. She does talk about how I die, and he's like, it's kind of cool. And I was like, oh no, So and I think this goes back to this is just touching on the discussions that we had. But do you have anything else to add or?
I think Maya's journal should have been a bigger plot point than they were. Like this first two arcs should have been because of the things that happened at the end. And I haven't watched anything past this episode, so I don't know if Maya come back or whatever. But I feel like those journals were a wasted opportunity to like be something bigger. But that comment about knowing how he's gonna die, that fucked me up. Yeah. But I was excited to hear. All in all, I think this like when drawing the butterflies and all that, I think some of this stuff should have been seeded in episodes before, or maybe at the beginning of this episode. Like something, because I feel like
there wasn't much. Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. Now the thing I'm happy about is that this is a two-parter. So that's one good thing. Like, if they had wrapped this up in one episode, that I would have been really irritated. But even with having more time to tell this specific story, there are things that seem a little rushed, or at least not planted the best way. And and this is the first time that we're seeing her journals for this episode. So at least we're halfway through, and now we see the butterflies. Because I think that's one of the things he mentions, and they're trying to figure out what that means. So, and then I think there's also another line in there, the circle, and that's what it is. So the she writes that I'm in a circle with Tyler Downing, and remember Tyler was the kid from episode 2 who had the ability to control electricity. So they look at that as a possible clue, and then they go and talk to Tyler, who is younger, and his sister, who is taking custody of him. This is my favorite scene. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. So Diana and Tom are there at the house, and the boy is like freaking out because Diana once again is on. What's the Dragon Ball Z level 9,000?
Yes.
And she's not shaking him. She's like, what does a circle mean? Tyler, where were y'all in a circle? The circle. And then the kid and then Tyler is just like, he's like, no, I don't know. And then, and Diana's losing it in the best way possible. And even Tom, the sister says something to the effect of like, we've been at this.
Yes.
We've been at this.
Yes.
And the kid ain't saying, my brother isn't saying anything different. I understand you want to find your daughter, but you're terrifying my brother. Yeah. And I think Tom backs her up. But no, Diana was hardcore, man. I mean, she wasn't slapping the kid, but the kid seemed terrified.
Yeah, no, and everybody should have. Like, I was like, God damn, like, yeah. And I liked the way she played that because it wasn't like a stereotypical like cop interrogating somebody. It was very much. She didn't. I don't know what it is, but that actually did a very good job and not making it feel like, okay, you're being abusive. Like at some point, it's like, we told you 10 times we don't know, so leave us alone. But it never felt like, little motherfucker, you better tell me what you know. Like she had the right amount of energy to interrogate a child, I feel.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, I loved it. Kid was crying and the adult was yelling at him. But I don't know what that says about me. But anyway, so Maya, they show Maya and Sarah back at the, I'm going to call it the Bates Motel house. And Maya, in my notes say ditzy AF. Like she's acting ditzy as fuck. So she decides to now step out of her room because like, what has she been doing in the room? Just like playing Ella Fitzgerald and playing with toys. Like, is that what they used to do back in the 50s? Just like listen to jazz music, because that was it was the hops back then, and play with toys, little stuffed animals. And then she decides to walk out into the hallway. And the thing I love though is that none of these other kids have popped up since they brought her in. So she goes and tries to open the hallway door, and that's when surprise Lindsay Hammond, the kid who had gone missing earlier in the episode, or they talked about going missing, pops up, and then the Wonder Twins. I call them the Wonder Twins because we don't know their names at that point.
We don't know nothing about these damn people.
Exactly. It's just a boy and a girl. They may not even be twins, but they I don't know. They
related.
They look like they're related.
Yeah.
So, so then we have that. And that's when Lindsay lays it out. And what is Whoopi Goldberg saying? Ghost?
you changed the girl. Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what Lindsay says. She's like, hey, welcome to the end of your life or some shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
She says they're gonna sell us to the highest bidder. And I was just like, damn, Lindsay, like what kind of life have you lived?
Yes, yeah.
I was like, Lindsay not supposed to know about this stuff, but so she basically lays it out that you are not going to get out of here. We've been here for a minute, and then when they hear Sarah coming up the stairs, they all run to their own separate rooms. And then we see Sarah in this and to me, and just being real, like for what Sarah's doing, she got the right dude. She got this like hulking big dude, and they're bringing in Tyler to toss him into a room.
How did they get him?
Because thank you for answering that question.
If I am his sister, after Insect came to my me and him, we packing our shit up and we're going to visit somewhere else for a month. Ain't nobody else coming near my brother. No, right. This is weird.
And so the other thing that kind of got me was when they're at Tyler's house, there are other InTech agents there. Yep. So that he's connected to this case somehow because he's mentioned inside the journals. So they didn't leave a guard at the house. They didn't leave like the house under surveillance. But but Sarah and old dude were able to get in there and kidnap him. So now he's in the I keep wanting to call it dollhouse, but now he's in the house with them. And the tone that they're setting is very creepy.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I do like about this episode is that it's like you don't know what they're about to do. And these kids are just, they're sequestered in like this hallway, and that's it. So I actually wanted to see what each of the other rooms looked like to see if they modeled them after the rooms that they had come.
Yeah,
but I'm overthinking it probably. But so then we see Alana and Heather and Tom. Well, Alana and Heather at the house, and Tom comes home after trying to help find Maya. So he's frustrated. But Alana is now having a I don't want to say role play because that gives it
I
like a weird
mean,
connotation. But
no.
yeah, I mean, they're having a session where Alana is doing the whole projection thing, and Heather explains that Alana took her back to the year that she was abducted, and they were able to see Nixon leave the White House, and she said it felt so real, and just all that. So once again, it's showing the extent to which Alana's abilities are growing. And Tom is just like, oh, okay, well, I had a bad day, and he goes to drink. I said Tom is in his feelings, and Heather is like awkwardly sitting in the living room when Alana comes to talk to Tom and says, hey, when she leaves, I can, take you somewhere to ease your mind. And he's like, I don't want to. And then he just goes to the back. And that's about the extent of that. So, and I think she also mentions that she's going to take the position. The reason that they were doing it, the reason that they were doing it, what she said was to practice, what she's going to be doing at the at the center. So
Tom is I'm actually on his side for most of this episode. But this was frustrating to me. Like, she irritated me because she's like, oh, I think I'm gonna take the job, and not because I feel like you can't have a job, but this is also something that you haven't even talked to your husband about. Again, take it, fine, but there hasn't even been a conversation with this man about what that means for y'all. Because he's like, you work at the fucking art gallery. What's up with that? She's like, oh, Tina can sell and whatever. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like for a married couple, this is a big decision that you didn't even
involve him.
Not once did you
mention.
Say anything. Everything that he's getting about this job, he's getting from other people. And so I don't know. I was on his side. I think he was in his feelings because this, like, if I had a teacher who could take the whole class back to fucking World War II and we could see, like, that's some good shit. But like at the same time, it's like this shit is coming out of nowhere for him. This is not fair. But
it's not fair at all. But once again, this goes back to the whole. Were they okay? So when he walked in, were they holding hands or were they?
I think she held her head. I think she was holding his head.
But we still do go back to the original season where she was introduced, and when they did this, she wasn't touching him. So episode 3 when we talked about how why didn't she just toss a memory into the kidnapper's head? But anyway, so next scene is Matthew and Isabel. So Matthew being in the room with her when she's changing clothes, once again, is skeevy as hell. He looks kind of like a skeleton to me sometimes. So she's guiding. Oh, that's what it is. So Isabel mentions that, or maybe he mentions that maybe you should guide Sean to making the right choice about stepping down or stepping up or whatever. He's just being manipulative, playing both sides against each other. I guess in this case, Sean, Isabel telling Sean that maybe he shouldn't step down, and it's whatever. Any thoughts about this? And
the whole scene is fucking disgusting. I don't understand why the only black woman on this damn show, every fucking time she's on screen, she's completely naked or she's doing some outlandish stupid shit that she should not be doing. Why is this man watching her change? Like, I don't get that, because you could have we've seen people change before. Isn't there like a partition in Sean's office where some woman, I think the woman from the bridge, somebody changed behind that partition. And this isn't even Matthew, because whatever, he's gross, but the show, the way in which they have her in this like mint green panty set, standing in frame, but also like the mirror of her ass and her back. I said, this is overkill. This is too much. Because it's one thing to be like, okay, here's some sexy stuff to wear for Sean, wear this, blah, whatever. It's one thing to have her go in her room and change and come out. Even that's weird. But it's like the way that they keep positioning this black woman's body is very, it's disgusting. And there's no point, because you could have had the same exact conversation in a ball gown and some corduroys and a long t-shirt. Like, we already saw her have sex with him. We know that she's sexually so we don't need to see all this. I don't get that. But you're not doing this to any of these other characters. Where's these white women walking around with these Victoria's Secret panties on just for the hell of it?
Right.
I don't.
I mean, real, they didn't even have Lily dressed like this
At all.
No.
God
they didn't even have
damn.
Lily dressed like nobody else in this has.
There's not even men in here who's like shirtless all the goddamn time.
No,
Like,
I mean they haven't like overly sexualized anybody in the series,
but
her, and it's weird. Like I said, I remember telling you a while back, man, when we got to Isabel, in this context, how you were going to be feeling about her, or how they're dealing with her. We sometimes joke about the acting with the actress, but I think she's doing decently with the material that she has.
Yeah.
But my thing is always going to come back to the people who are the writers or the producers or the decision makers, because she didn't have a hand in writing this.
Yeah.
So as far as I know, as far as writing credit, right. So and it comes off as just skeevy and just weird.
Yeah.
So we cut back to the kids.
Generation X.
Generation X, yeah. I think somebody starts asking the question, like, why not, or maybe I asked the question, like, why not use the abilities? I think in my notes, I wrote that down. It's like, why not just use those damn abilities?
Yeah.
I mean, aside from like Maya's, who's pops up like every
6
5 hours.
Yeah,
6 months. 6 hours, 5 months, 6 hours, 3 minutes, 2 seconds. And this is when they start doing a breakdown. And actually, no, this is when I keep forgetting her name. Lindsay starts like, hey, she's the one that starts saying, hey, let's try to combine our powers like Captain Planet or some shit. And the Wonder Twins, I call them water benders, but that's not the best way to put it. They practice, they're able to move water through a process called diffusion. I think it's called diffusion. And one of the sister corrects the brother, and it's cute. Tyler explains that he can control electrical currents, and Maya says, "Well, I can see the future 6 months, 5 hours, 3 minutes."
Shit.
And I wrote down, why is her shit so sometimey? Everybody can use their abilities. I mean, the only thing that should be preventing them from using their abilities is if they get tired or incapacitated. Sort of like thinking like the X-Men. You can't do this stuff all the time. But the one thing that I thought was interesting was Lindsay didn't give her ability.
Yeah, at all.
No, nope. Lindsay didn't, and it made me start wondering, because I wrote in my notes, it's like I said the talking girl because I couldn't remember her name, but talking girl is a snitch. Yeah. But then we see what happens to her. They cut back to any thoughts about this where they are laying out the.
I'm really mad because this show, and it does it a lot, where there are things that pops up that they just gloss over, and not to even say that there's bad writing or storytelling, but like the fact that these 5 kids are like the chosen ones for the shit that's it's like this would have been a good arc on its own. Like I wish we had and it could just be my love of like X-Men coming in, but I would have loved to have seen more of these kids together, even if they were just being kids, not using powers, because this is adequate enough to get me through the episode. But I'm like, you can't establish that these are the 5 OG X-Men and not like
and not say anything and not come back to that. And to be honest with you, maybe they do come back to it, but
I hope.
I hope. But I mean, we've seen Tyler for a couple episodes, but it hasn't been in the context of like there's something larger when it comes to him. So we go back to Intech. They're still looking for Maya, and then what happens is they're still hung up on this circle thing, and Marco brings a cup of, or like a coffee mug, with coffee, coffee to her, and then she puts it on the map, and they're talking about like I'm just like dialogue about the search, and then when she picks up the mug, she sees something on the map, and then she calls Tom over. And then she points at the map, and what the coffee mug has left an imprint on the map, and for a specific area. So this is a circle that for them to search. So this is a circle that Maya had mentioned in her journal. You know, in addition to the butterflies, and I don't know if there was anything else at this point.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so that was a big thing for that. So then we come back to Sean, Matthew, and Richard. Sean, I put Sean is acting like a baby here, because they went to him and took him. Or was this when they gave him the deal, or when they were shaking hands on it? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Okay, this is when they presented him with the deal, you know, with the whole thing, and you know, he fucked up, and he sees it. He sees them coming at him as a threat, which I was just like, okay. I mean, we're not the ones that threw paint on you in front of sick children.
At all.
So, not his finest moment.
No.
So Tyler, Maya, and the girl, and Lindsay. And one thing I forgot to say about that scene was back when the kids were, you know, introducing their abilities or talking about their abilities, Sarah and, you know, Goon 1 came up and took her. And so now they bring her back. And something's up with her. Like she seems she doesn't even remember. She's like, her memory is shot or something. Like she can't remember. And that's even more creepy, you know, as far as the situation that, you know, they're dealing with or that they're in. So
I think she did a good job. Whoever that girl, that actress, and she looks maybe 13, 14. She did, I think, a good job as a child actress at portraying a lobotomized person. Like she was very much, especially next to Maya. Everybody's great, but she did a really good job at portraying it. Yeah, Maya's terrible. I'm sorry, sis. You're bad. So yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the best. I was trying to see if they had her listed on here as far as the actress, but anyways, so after that, Tom and Diana are rolling around Vancouver, Seattle, trying to find Maya. Nothing major here. There's a bunch of cops like going in different directions within this, you know, set area that they're looking in. Isabel and Sean are about to. They're sleeping again. They're about to like get it on or whatever. And Sean, and I wrote this is wrong. Sean didn't say that. Sean is in his head not about the fact that he's doing something reprehensible,
right?
But he's like, oh, they're going to take the center away from me. And Isabel is just like, well, let's just. This is weird. She's like, let's just clap back. You know, she's like, I can do anything. Yeah, I was just like, God, that's your dad,
right? Like,
that's the thing that gets me. It's just like you were talking about Matthew. I can understand because of y'all's history, but your dad. She's, you know, how do you feel about that?
I think it's stupid. Again, this is you. This is not the same girl that was a baby, like killing racist people. Like, what are we doing with her? Like, what is the point? Because there's no continuity here. And to even play with the idea of like getting rid of your dad, for someone to be going on this self-discovery journey of like things that you do in like fucking coming of age movies that I didn't get to do, you're quick to like flip the switch and be like, let's kill all these niggas. And I was like, what, this is an extreme that doesn't make any sense. What is, because now my worry as Sean is now when me and you argue, Isabella, are you going to just murder me? Exactly. And he had to tell, like, it was just an argument, like, no, sis, relax. Like, he's good. But my other concern being Sean, I'm thinking, I don't want to be physically intimate with Isabel at all. Especially because, one, she's 2 years old in mine. But I don't, shit, is she 45 in, I don't, whatever.
Yeah.
What if she reverts back to fucking 1 year old randomly? Like, it's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot that I think the show did not address or has not yet. And Isabel is a variant that I am not excited about.
Yep. I agree with everything. The only thing I'll add is that when she's in the bedroom, she's acting smart and conniving. And outside of that, they still have her acting like very childlike. And my thing is like, so you're suggesting that when she's in this space, like she's smart, like when she's, and it's just really weird. But I think like in their eyes, there's a scene that comes later on where they're like, well, we flipped the script on you, and I'm just like, no,
you didn't.
That's not what I take from this. Because y'all been doing this for like even before she started like knocking the whatever. So anyways, it's whatever. I'm going back to the 2000s.
Yeah.
Or the late 90s. So Maya, and I have in quotation Sarah. She tries to. They take Maya downstairs. Her and Goon One, and sit her at this table. And once again, they're playing old timey music to keep her safe. And I'm like, this child has listened to other music outside of like, Benny Goodman or some shit like that. And kids look up Benny Goodman. So the man being in the corner is creepy. They want her to drink something. I say Sarah's trying to get Maya effed up.
Yeah.
And then she's talking to her and she's like, we want you to feel better, and if you just drink this you'll be fine. And then the electricity starts going off and on. And so Maya's just like, she knows, and Maya like, don't say this stuff,
bro.
Thank you. It's like she's just like, they're doing it, and I was just like, just let it roll. They're trying to help you.
Oh my God.
I mean, Tyler earlier had been like, I don't want to help nobody on, whatever. But he's stepping up now, and you're just like giving the plan away. And then the special effects, or at least the makeup effects, this was pretty messed up.
Gross.
The Wonder Twins start messing with, and this is smart. It's not just like, it's not like water bending. Actually, the closest thing I could think of was, I don't know if you used to watch Avatar, but they used to do this thing called blood bending. Yeah, blood bending. That's what this reminded me of, except in this case, they weren't controlling them. They were leaching the water. Yeah, the water out of their bodies. Like I was like, shit.
That was good.
Yeah. That was the best use of these abilities this episode.
Yes.
Not the extreme sports example, but this one. The guy falls out. The woman starts like, her face starts getting red. She's water, her face is getting very liquidy, and Maya starts just running around the house. And I think even in my notes I said, Maya, shut up. Just like, don't stop giving the plans. So they cut to Diana. She sees the butterflies on the fence of a house that it's basically the house that Maya and them are quote unquote in. And then they burst inside as they're cutting between Maya running through the house, and then Sarah, all messed up, starts coming after her. And then Maya finds some keys, opens the front door as Tom and them are opening the front door. And then Tom and them walk in on a realtor showing off the house, which has always had a for sale sign. So we should have, maybe that should have been a clue, but had a for sale sign. And he's just like, yeah, this house is, I'm showing this house to buyers. And then Maya walks into the room from the future.
The room that Tom
walked into. Yeah, that Tom was in. And it basically, I think this room is where they were experimenting on the people to give them their abilities in the future. And when Sarah appears, and she is not hurt or anything, she's not leaking water, and she explains to Maya that you're in the future, and the 4400 still haven't changed the timeline. So we've taken you and the four other kids. I think right now it's four other kids to change things. She gives her plan as, we're going to. Actually, that comes later. So then we go back to this unimportant ass scene of Sean, Matthew, and like at this point, I'm just like, why are y'all cutting away from this? So we go back to Sean. They sign an agreement. Richard shakes his hand, and then they show Isabel. I guess is important in this respect, but Isabel is talking to Matthew afterwards, and then Isabel says, I actually I didn't follow the advice that you follow the route that you wanted me to go, and
Yeah.
I did my own thing. And she says, I don't even know, what should I be scared of you? And then she does this whole telekinetic thing where she picks him up off the ground and bends him over backwards, and then just drops him on the ground and says, I'll be doing my own shopping from now on.
That's where the special effects budget went into for this episode, was that right there. Because I was like, ooh, this is good. This is okay.
Yeah, she fucked him up, but it just seemed, for me, it just seemed anticlimactic. I don't know why. I mean, it's her now owning her, like she's owning herself, like she's doing her own thing, and not being somebody's puppet. So, we'll see where this goes. But back to the scene where I was actually invested in. So Sarah explains to Maya that they've abducted the 5 kids to place them back earlier than they had before. And the funny thing is, like, so does that mean that you never abducted the 4400? Or, and in my mind, I'm thinking like maybe the 4400 did come back later, but these kids, they just brought them back randomly and didn't make it a big event. And so that's what I'm thinking. And the sad thing is, Maya's like, no, I don't want to forget my family or forget my mom and Marco, and then she's like, well, no, baby, they'll forget you too. And I was like, oh shit! I was like, God. Like that's not gonna make her feel better.
Yeah.
And then they erased her. I don't know if it goes to white, but they cut to her, Diana and Maya's apartment, and any vestige of Maya is being deleted. Like a big ass M for Maya. Her bedroom is converted into like an office. And then they show a picture of her and this could have been done better. They show a picture of her and Diana at the forest, and then they just like blank Maya out, and I'm just like, why don't you just put like her sister or Marco there?
I mean, and who
takes a picture like this?
Yes, you like she's all the way on the right side. Yeah, this was weird. I like this idea, but I don't like this because I felt like they dropped the ball again. This is just me, my personal opinion. Maya should have been acting out this whole episode so that it could be some type of cautionary tale, like, see you going against your mama, and now the worst possible thing could happen. You'll never see her again. I don't like Sarah. I like what she represents, but this whole shit ain't right. We got to send you back in the like. What is the plan here? Because if you're sending her back to before she was even born, no one is expecting her. So what happens? Does she just need to grow up and have kids? Like what? So the whole big event that's coming, it doesn't feel defined enough for me.
Well, that's one of the criticisms I sometimes feel you have with this show. Like, you have these moments where, and I think it's a legit argument, but then also I do think that the show does well with well enough, with the concept enough to keep me interested. But sometimes it doesn't feel that there's as intricate as a game plan for what each of these people, how they're contributing. Like, why send back a serial killer with abilities? Like, that's the thing. Like, that must have been when they had like the temps working. That's when they were like, the temps were like, I don't give a fuck. That doesn't make any sense. And I think people ask those questions in the episode. And actually, maybe it is something that this TV show is aware of, because actually, no, I think the TV show is very aware of, because you do have people who question how these people are actually affecting humanity or humanity's future for the best and for the better, because that's the only way that you're going to save, at least let's say it happened in our context, the biggest thing that we have right now is climate change. So unless you send people back with abilities who are going to be able to kind of hold that off, then that's you're not going to be able to combat, deal with climate change. But the other part of it is a lot of this stuff is man-made. You can't change a person's mindset. Like we got people, we were talking about this. I was talking about this earlier with my wife. Like, people are still dying from COVID. And people refuse to get vaccines or to wear masks. Like, if you don't want to get a vaccine, then at least wear a mask. But people have basically decided that I ain't gonna do that shit, and at a certain point, more people are going to keep dying.
Yeah.
So it is very ambiguous, and I think it is something that the show does focus on. Like a lot of the stuff seems larger than what people with abilities can deal with. You would hope that if somebody came back and turned a part of the a big ass desert into an oasis, you'd be like, man, let's get behind that. But no, it's just they won't. So,
it feels like
finish what you're saying.
No, it feels like they should be going after the Nova group, like because if they are the ones who are weaponizing their powers, and you're concerned about some big threat still coming, where do they fall in this then? Why are we not addressing that? Maya hasn't, like, and then you're taking Maya, she's a child. Take a grown person, like her powers are so ambiguous themselves. The rules keep changing. That what is she? I think this impending doom is a giant MacGuffin, and it's like you don't. If you, as the writers' room, say at the very least, a giant shark will attack the world. It's season 5. We can work towards that, but to be like, it could be a snake, it could be climate change, it could be Trump. Like it's like that's not good enough.
Yeah. I mean, there was you remember that Stephen King Dead Zone. There's a book that I don't know if it was a book. I think it was a book first, but the basic gist of it is there's a presidential candidate who's going to turn out to be the next Hitler, the next like very like horrible ruler. So in the original movie, it was God, what was the name of it? Christopher Walken dealing with having these visions of what's going to happen, and is he going to kill him? That type of thing. So, so that's a set goal. And this, in light of this is very ambiguous. Like the world is effed up. I was like, was it nuclear war? Was it climate change? Did aliens attack us? Was it the January 6th insurrection that happened? That type of stuff. So the show, I think, acknowledges it at times because they've had these discussions like we're having right now. But there are times where you do feel, I really would like to see the series Bible for this.
Yes.
Just like, I mean, well, if it was Misha Green, she would have let this.
Hey, we get a picture every day. Goddamn.
Exactly, every damn day. Like this, is what y'all missing out on. But shout out to Misha Green.
Yes, Lord.
But yeah, so that's the end of the episode. I like I said, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really messed up, how it ended. But I'm glad that we're getting a 2-parter because like this is not a you can't cram this whole episode into just one.
And
but yeah, so it's I enjoyed it, but I do definitely I do see, the questions. I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. I enjoyed it as well, but I'm just hoping that Maya comes back as at least a teenager or an adult, because or like an old woman, and she got to convince Diana that she was her daughter. Like I don't know, but I enjoyed it, and I'm ready for the next episode. But I'm not gonna watch it until we record again, but I am very excited for part 2 to see what the hell happens. Because
it's your kids, Marty. No, pops up in a DeLorean. But so let's go. Well, do you want to get into the most recent, like the reboot news? I mean, it was just kind of reactions. Okay, so the CW released teaser trailers for 3 of the characters in the upcoming reboot, and I think we actually just now got a release date of October 25th. So, and maybe there was a press release that went along with the this, and I actually no, it might have just been from earlier news. But one of the things that stood out to me, and actually, Rain, you pointed it out, was the reboot story will center on overlooked, undervalued, or otherwise marginalized people. And the 3 clips we saw were so much melanin.
So much.
Golly,
the extras, the main people, even the white folks had melanin. But
yeah, they're the characters that the clips introduced were Claudette, Reverend Johnson, and Shanice. And Claudette is the wife of a civil rights activist who disappeared in the 50s. Johnson is a member, Reverend Johnson, a member of an affluent black church family who disappeared in the 90s. And Shanice is a new mother who vanished in 2005. And they all seem to have a connection to each other. But yeah, I was impressed because one of the things that is very apparent is between that description that we just read off, but then also so much color. They got in the main cast. There are more people of color in this than all of the seasons combined.
I mean,
of the 4400.
But I mean, who you got now? You got Isabel, that black dude from Intact.
That's somebody. No, he was that dude was an extra. He was an extra. I'm talking about somebody who actually talks.
Oh yeah, so just Richard and Isabel.
Yeah, just Richard and Isabel, and then I'm looking at
Marco cast. White.
Marco was, I think he's, I want to say Latino, but I could be.
But he's white passing, goddammit, because shit.
But looking at the cast, there's so much color in here.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I like is the only thing that's going to be similar is that is that these people who vanished over time are just returned, and from there, sky's the limit. I mean, like if they were just following the same beats, I would have a problem with that. I'm sorry. Yeah. Like if they were following every episode. But what were your thoughts about the trailer?
Oh, I loved it. I loved every single one. And it was short enough. It was long enough. I mean, it was short enough to get you. Oh, what the fuck am I trying to say? It was short, but there was enough content in each trailer that had you like, okay, what the fuck is this? Because now even if we've never did this show, I pretty much knew the basics about 4400, that there are people who have come back from displaced time. This shit, seeing the black point of view is, and then one of them is a reverend. Like, I'm not a religious person, but I definitely want to see how do you handle your faith by being time displaced by aliens when your faith is like rooted in a higher being, and it's not dealing with UFOs and aliens and evolution and whatever. Like, I want to see, like, it's so much that I'm hoping that a lot of the black experience and also any other marginalized person, because is there a guy who is Middle Eastern or so? What is he? And I don't even know.
So I'll read this. In addition to Shanice, Claudette, and the Reverend, the new 4400, and it's not even called the 4400, it's called 4400, is also set to feature characters like Dr. Andre, a doctor and transgender man hailing from 1920s Harlem, Shanice's husband, Logan, Mildred, a teenager from the 70s, and Keisha, a parole officer who becomes involved in the government's Rush task force designed to observe the 4400. And it's set in Detroit.
Yes, that right there. Now that sold me too. Look, y'all, if y'all don't know if I mentioned I am from Michigan. Detroit was only 40 minutes from my hometown. I'm for sure watching this shit for that alone. Like,
there, and it's funny because isn't that where Richard was actually from in the series?
I believe
he was from somewhere in the Midwest, if I remember correctly.
I think he may have been shit.
Yeah, but and that might be just a nice call out. But we said this before: in front of the camera and behind the camera. Actually, no, behind the camera, because we kept seeing a lot of the directors and the writers and the showrunners is like women of color, and then looking at this cast, and I'm pretty sure the writers' room is filled with people of color. And the article that we saw it was on Gizmodo. It says, considering that the CW's 4400 is set in Detroit and its cast features multiple leads of color, it seems as if the reboot might tackle race and identity in ways the original did not. And I'm here for that. We love X-Men, but I was talking with some friends before when I sent them this link to the story was that as much as I love X-Men, sometimes it gets difficult for me to believe that a lot of these
Come on.
passing white folks
Come
are
on.
having as difficult a problem as Storm would, or
Yeah.
as
Or
Bishop would,
Jubilee.
or as
Bishop for
Jubilee,
sure.
yeah, or as Skin, or any
Huh.
of the. So the 4400 might actually give us the X-Men story that we have not seen
Hey.
on here. And if it's there might be. I'm pretty sure they're going to be other races represented.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all are leading with a
Conversations.
lot of black folks.
Yeah,
Y'all
for
leading
sure. Like that's and that's the thing that really got me is that in this day and age when everybody is so upset at motherfuckers for being included in shit,
Mhm.
that says something without saying something that
Yep.
you because like you said, there has to be, of course, some white folks, Asians, Latinos, all that good shit. But for you to have your three main, well, we don't know if they're main, but three
Mhm.
trailers with three dark skinned
Mhm.
black folks,
Yeah.
that's saying something, especially on a CW show. So I'm like,
Well, this is, I mean, as much as we would come down on Black Lightning, I mean, like I said, we gave credit where it definitely
oh yeah,
deserved
they
it.
was black.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That show was black as heck. I mean, like
Yes.
from the situations, from the stuff that they were talking about, the messaging,
Mm-hmm.
the issues that they were dealing with, the culture, the vibe of the show,
Yep.
but also different shades of black. When it comes
Mm-hmm.
to
Different body types.
different
Yeah.
body type, yeah, just everything. So I think this might be keeping in line with that.
I hope so.
The fact that it's not being filmed up in Canada also, for me,
Mm-hmm.
is another plus. I'm sorry, like I love the Arrowverse shows, but I sometimes feel that sometimes I don't know. I mean, because a
You
corporation is
lose.
big, you lose certain things because you're not speaking about the experience of what's going on down here.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that it's cheaper up there, and I know that there probably have been works that have dealt with, racism and sexual identity and
Mm-hmm.
different the quote unquote other up there. So let me not put a blanket statement out that about like that. But when I heard that, actually the show was filmed in Chicago. And it's set in Detroit, which is really weird. Because the only filming location that. What did you say?
No, I was about to say not too much, but like you're from Chicago, so I mean, I guess
Yeah. And
yeah.
I mean, and to be honest with you, the cities are similar. They were both, factory cities. They were both,
Mm-hmm.
By the ocean. I mean, not the ocean, by the lakes.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's gonna kick my ass for saying that. Lakeshore Drive. I'm sorry, but they're both Midwestern metropolises.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So rather, and that's the only filming location that I see. It just says Chicago, Illinois, USA. So when I saw that rather than Vancouver, I was so happy. Like it just made me happy to see that you are pulling, and that's the other part of this. You're pulling talent from that area, or you're pulling talent from this country. Black talent.
There we go.
Yeah.
In one of these black cities.
I need this to knock it out of the park. So I'm hyped. But that was the latest news. We just got like 3 teaser trailers.
Yes.
In a release date.
God, yes.
October 25th. So
all these Negroes, man. I love and again, just to fucking emphasize, you're saying it's shot in Chicago, a black ass city, but it's set in Detroit, another black ass city. It's like 3.5 hours from each other. Like it's oh my God. But I could gush all day. I love being from Michigan. I don't give a fuck. So yeah, there we go.
Same here for Chicago. Even like every city is messy. Every city is messy, and I'm not. For me, when I say that, I'm not talking about the black folks. I'm talking about the powers that be who run those places. But
say that.
It's always going to be home, but to know that there's going to be that connection between Chicago and Detroit, it's positive. So the more news that comes out, we will definitely talk about it on here, and then
absolutely
when the show comes out, we'll talk about it. But to wrap this episode up for the original series, which we're enjoying, what we can just do the breakdown. Who was your favorite person, for this episode?
I want to say Richard. But Richard is my favorite, but I want to go with Tom, and that's because I don't like him. But I feel like in this episode specifically, Tom dealt with a lot. I know Diana was on 10, but Tom like supported her. Tom supported his wife. Tom took that verbal abuse. Tom, for me, he played his role very well. I think he followed through with a lot of shit